on that. Just if you've got an economist like Trevor Toombs saying that your plan is unsustainable, is just that, is there an argument that if Pierre Poilievre is trying to bring down spending, bring down the deficit, that his plan is more fiscally responsible than yours?
Okay. There's one thing that you can write on a paper. There's another thing that will happen in the economy.
Wanted to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy. She's now become Chancellor. It's been a disaster for Britain. The country is heading for bankruptcy.
Okay, so our plan, to be clear, is focused on investment and growing this economy. All of the spending, all of the investment in years 3 and 4 are for growing the economy. We are creating $500 billion of investment in this economy over the course of the next 4 years. That sounds like an enormous number. It is an enormous number. And the vast, vast majority of that investment comes from companies like Marmon, our big investments in clean and conventional energy, our investments in auto, our investments in housing and beyond from the private sector, but with a clear directional plan. The Conservative plan makes it up.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It literally makes it up. It says that growth will come from somewhere, even though there's no plan to address the biggest risk to our economy, the U.S.
No!
Even though their tax cut doesn't arrive for 4 years, even though their costing numbers are far too low, even though their reductions in spending don't appear. And on top of that, they divide Canadians into two. If you're at home and you don't have your children in a $10 a day daycare, if you're not taking advantage of dental care, if you want to watch the CBC or Radio-Canada, c'est fini avec les conservateurs.
You serious?
Okay, so look, it's very different. I would, if you want to compare economists, why don't you look at what Mike Moffat has said today about the costing of the Conservative plan. I mean, this is not we can have the discussion, but this is a real crisis, a real situation. The question is, within a week's time, who's going to be negotiating with President Trump and who's going to be managing the finances of this country? It's going to be François-Philippe Champagne.
No. Wait.
And myself and our team. Or is it going to be a group that made it up on a napkin, released it a couple of days before the election, and has never taken responsibility for these types of decisions in the past? That's the question.
Ottawa, and I'm at the House of Commons, and you can see that the doors are actually locked since the 27th of January by the NDP Liberals as they decide to put party before country.
Follow-up.
The bloc leader is saying that you've got this thing in the bag, and that Quebecers can now safely vote for the Bloc Québécois. So what is your message? What is your message to Quebec voters who might be thinking about voting for the Bloc or voting for you? Is your message that they don't need the Bloc to protect their interests?
We are very clear. Let me start with Quebec's interests. And in a situation that is existential. It is existential for our sovereignty as Canada and for the distinct culture and interests of Quebec. Within a week, the Prime Minister of Canada is going to be sitting down with the President of the United States. Is that Prime Minister going to defend, as we have made clear from the start, From the start of my campaign, I look back to Monsieur Champagne because we launched our economic campaign, my economic campaign, en Mauricie, à la ferme petite. And I made clear from that point that we would never have supply management on the table, that we would never have the French language on the table. We would always protect Canadian culture, Quebec culture. And we are clear from that. But it's the person at the table who will make those determinations and decisions.
What the Prime Minister is doing is massively increasing the drug overdose crisis in this country. He has been providing taxpayer dollars for high-powered drugs that have flooded our streets and lowered the cost of hydromorphine on the streets by as much as 95% in Vancouver, leading to the deaths of 30,000 Canadians.
So the issue is having as strong a mandate as possible for those negotiations. Only the federal government can make those protections in these negotiations.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carney. This is Pramit Mukherjee from Reuters. By when do you realistically think that Canada should hope to reach a fiscal surplus? In 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when?
Well, the first thing, if we ran let me tell you something. If we made the assumptions that the Conservatives did about growth in our platform, we'd be in a fiscal surplus in 5 years, to be absolutely clear. If we did the same thing as they did, okay? So I can show you a fiscal surplus. And in fact, I can make a pretty good argument that a strategy that's driving enormous private investment, directly private investment, is going to help deliver that growth. But unlike Pierre Poilievre, I've actually managed economies before. I've actually managed budgets before. I've managed central banks before.
Well, Mark Carney was governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track.
So you don't make those assumptions at that point. But it's realistic to expect that if we are given the mandate and we execute on this plan, which we will if it's my government, that we can see that surplus by the end of this period. We just don't rely on it because make a point that's absolutely clear, and I'll hand back. We are in a crisis. And in a crisis, you always plan for the worst. You don't hope for the best. And so you don't make those types of assumptions. The Conservatives, who have no experience managing crisis, no experience of managing crisis. Pierre Poilievre was nowhere to be seen in the last crisis. They don't know what they're doing, so they make those assumptions. They assume it's going to happen.